Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and today I'm proud to bring you Dr. Barbara Becker Holstein and the Enchanted Self. Greetings, Barbara. How are you?
I am good. I'm glad to be back with you. It's always fun and informative. We have a good time, and I think we have some good things to talk about tonight.
I believe so as well. I read your proposal and it sounds fantastic.
All right. Well, I am very happy to be here. And for those who may have followed me over the years, I talk about the enchanted self. And a lot I talk to women and try to help women find ways to make themselves feel productive, feel wanted, to feel that they have gifts to give to society, and to live meaningful lives. So, how can I help you if you're listening? How can I help you if you're a woman and maybe life isn't always easy, or you don't always feel successful, or you have problems with a kid that's in trouble, whatever? Yes, I can help you. I cannot help you in certain ways that may require other people to help you. For example, if you need medical care, I don't think I'm the right one to give you any more than what my mother or grandmother might have taught me. If you need legal care, I don't think I can offer too much except encourage you to find the right lawyer. But when it comes to helping you feel that you can have a better sense of self and really have better self-esteem, I can really help you because I have spent a half century working on this subject, and not only working on it, but as a woman myself, I have lived through the development of some degree of self-esteem. Now, do I have the most amazing self-esteem of any woman you know? Probably not. It's a very difficult thing to achieve really solid, good self-esteem, and I'll tell you a little bit why. But do I know a lot about it? And can I give you suggestions that you can practice? Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's because, as I've said, I've studied the subject and I've developed a capacity to teach on it also. So, self esteem, as you may realize, starts probably even before you're born. Self-esteem may start in the very bed where you were conceived, and your parents had a little fight at the same time that perhaps you got created. Who knows? Or maybe it was a wonderful night for whoever created you. And then when you were little, maybe there was some fighting in the household, or maybe a grandma had to come to live with you, and your mother and your and her mother fought. Maybe there wasn't even a daddy that was involved in putting you down. Maybe there was a cousin that came and annoyed you. And there's a million things that may have happened from the day you were conceived till you walk out of, say, high school or college, hoping for a great future, and it turns out that life is pretty difficult. And you may have a lot of trouble recognizing your real talents and potential. So, one of the things that I'm talking about is that it's not like you're just alive in a vacuum. You're alive in the conditions that brought you into life. And there are secret messages in families, and there are public messages in families. A secret kind of message would be that you are not allowed to kind of tell your mother that maybe you should go to college just as well as your brother, because the secret message is that only the boy is going to go to college. Now, that's not so much true today as 100 years ago, but certainly secret family messages still exist. Um, you may be realizing that you're expected to be the caretaker of your parents as you get older, or you maybe see that maybe another person in the family is supposed to be the caretaker. Now, there's not necessarily anything really wrong with these messages because life is hard and families have to figure out how they'll survive. But it's that they're kept secret, so you can't really process them as you need to. And a lot of coming into our own sense of of worth and strength, and that we really have a wonderful capacity for self-esteem and understanding what we're worth, is that we can honestly be talk about it, admit it even. In many families, you can't admit anything. You know, there are all sorts of rules and restrictions. Now, of course, I'm talking to you through this marvelous invention that we now live with, computers and phones. So I have no way of knowing what your life has been like. But but I can tell you how to come closer to understanding your self-esteem. And to come close to your self-esteem, the easiest way to do that is to begin to realize you've got to recognize your talents and your strengths and your potential. That is really the core to releasing your own wonderment. And I have found realistically over many, many years that most families don't really teach you that well how to understand your potential because very often they're caught up in everything from making a living to raising a baby to fighting a divorce to whatever. So here's your chance. And the first thing I'm going to tell you, if you have paper and a pen or whatever near you, and you want to do this, you can do it. It's worked very nicely when I have a workshop. And that is make 3 columns on a piece of paper. And one of the columns, you can put memories of talents that you have, something like that. Yes. And in the middle column, you can list possible potential. And in the third column, you can list successes. Now, there's many more columns one could do, but any 2 or 3 columns will get you started. Because as you start to think about even the most simple thing like talents I had as a child, you may begin to very quickly realize and get angry a little bit. Hey, I gave that up before I could even be a star. I was the best girl in the whole playground that could, swing a bat, just like the guys. And I just stopped because someone teased me. Or you could realize I have potential. I've been really the cook in the household for a few years because my mother wasn't well and I had to do a lot of the family cooking. Um, I am really good at it. Now, I don't know if I want it as a talent to push on because, in a way, it spoiled some of my childhood. But on the other hand, I do want to be recognized that I can cook for 50 people. And maybe I want to go to culinary school if I think about it. I don't know yet. A lot of these things to bring you closer to your self-esteem, it's like opening a window and not really fully opening it. You get it halfway and then you have to ponder it and think about it. And some of the time you'll say, I did that. I mean, I'll give you an example from me. For whatever reasons, my father taught me how to iron when I was 7.5. And I really became very good at ironing. Let me tell you that when we moved out of our house 3.5 years ago, I made sure I left the iron and the ironing board in a closet on the upstairs level. I don't care. I didn't even have to sell it. I didn't even want the 50 cents. Just leave it. And I've never ironed a moment since then. So, there are many talents that we go through and we give them up. But there are central talents that if you can grasp them and understand them, then you can have much more a life of joy and fascination. Yes, there'll be disappointments. I've been trying to sell my books to hundreds of people. It isn't even the money. I want to feel that people understand some of the things that I feel I really understand and I can teach. And I also want them to enjoy some of the fictional work that I've done because they're great stories. However, up to this date, I am not famous, And Hercules and I have done a lot of travel through the world of being alive, and you know, you come to grips with what you can do when you can do it. I was thinking about Hercules. You said you think you lost some of your papers or something.
Oh, a lot. That's happened several times. My 20 years worth of writings disappeared because of a computer thing. My website that I had contained 20 years worth of writings, and poof, like smoke, they're all gone. And I might have to go to find them on Wayback Machines or
Yes,
systems that archive
yeah,
the internet when or if I have the time. All the radio shows, the radio
that's right.
company went out of business. So the same thing happened there with over 1,000 shows were lost just in a second. Um, I comfort myself by saying that we're all dust in the wind. So, once I'm not here anymore, a lot of that stuff will never be found again.
That's right. That's right. Yes. I just threw out a lot of things. I've been going through a lot of my papers, and I actually found um, a typewritten paper that I had done as a young teenager. No, I guess I was late teens by the time I typed this. And it was a tragic note that I still really felt so that I didn't understand why a particular boyfriend dropped me. And I'll never be really fulfilled until I can, get answers. And I wrote it quite eloquently for a very young person. And when I found it, I said to myself, well, should I really keep this? I mean, is it going to be something that they'll reference later? Look how well she wrote it, 14 or however old I was when I typed this. And then I said, no, it's creepy and depressing and gone.
There you go.
There was really no need to keep it, you know. Uh, many tragedies happen to all of us, and that we cannot ever completely take away. So I had a situation which was a money situation with my little first book, The Truth. I'm a girl, I'm smart, and I know everything. And this one really did bother me because the guy who was printing my books and they were selling, I made enough money to be concerned. It was working. But he called me one morning and he said he had failed. He owed, I don't know how much he owed to people, and he couldn't pay me the 2,800 that I was owed. And he was closing down. And that was it. I mean, there's a whole roller coaster of life. Now, did that stop me from feeling that I want to teach people about their how to get in touch with their potential? Absolutely not, because I know as a psychologist from my training and from my own soulful work that if you recognize your talents, you'll have a lot more fun and you'll stand up for yourself better than if you squish them, and kind of hide them. So it is much better to get in touch with your potential. You will have more of an enchanted life, and you will feel that you're purposeful. Even if you don't make money, you're purposeful. So it's a win-win to understand your potential. And we must remember that thousands of years ago, up to whenever, and we lived in caves or we lived in little mud huddles, and women had babies and babies died, and their men went out to fight and bring home something so people could eat. Women were often second class. And I'm not being, I can tell you these things because they're common knowledge. In the medieval days, women were hung because supposedly they, had some sort of spells. All they were doing were picking the flowers that could heal someone. But, men ruled and they were killed. And when if you had children and you owned a farm, only the son could inherit. And there's probably hundreds of other things I don't even know about, but I'm saying as women, we have to be cautious and realize that it's very important to understand our talents and our potential so that we are not taken for granted or mishandled. And of course, you don't want a man to be mishandled either, or anyone to deal with, creeps and, bad people. But for women, we're not as trained often to get to feel top of the heap. And it has been over the centuries easier for a man to become head of a big company or a giant farm or whatever, or in politics, to sit in with the real politics that make a country. It like our own independence. I don't know if there were any women in the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Now that I think about it, they probably were fed the guys and ministered medicine if they got sick traveling to Philadelphia or wherever they went. But I don't know if there were any women that really were in politics as we know it. So it's very new for women, at least in our culture. So I hope you'll think about these lists of your potential and your memories of potential talents that you have, and start to think about that seriously, because when you can reawaken those talents, you're going to move forward in life very quickly, very quickly. And I think that's my lesson for tonight. So um, that's it.
Okay, I can, although again, I'm not a woman seeking empowerment, many of the things that you say are universal and they apply to all people, regardless of their gender. And I found, because I worked in vocational rehabilitation for decades, and I worked in workforce development and things like that. So I was always challenging myself with new theories and new approaches. And I found an exercise in some book. I don't even remember what the book was, but the challenge was to describe what you're all about, everything that you're all about, in 2 words. And it took me months, but I finally found the 2 words. They were living mythology,
Wow.
because I try to live mythically, and I embody and express personal and cultural mythologies through what I do. And then also, a lot of my psychological work and my people helping work, I'm working with living, and there too, I introduce mythical elements into it, like finding your talents. In days of old, in Greek mythology and other mythologies, uh, you weren't supposed to strive to be balanced. You had to find your one heroic or magical or godly power, and then that was the key to your uniqueness and your heroic self. So for Hercules in the myths, it was strength. So when you think of Hercules, you think of strength. When you think of Odysseus, you think of cunning. When you think of Theseus, you think of political acumen. So everybody had something that they were really, really good at. So they didn't put their energies in minimizing that, which we often do in our culture, but they put all their energies in cultivating their strengths and then using their strength to meet life's challenges. And often that's where you get a chance to shine. Whereas if you're trying to be balanced and not shine, then yeah, you never do cross that barrier. And I found in my life, and like everyone, I too have challenges. Like right now, my challenge is Parkinson's disease and spinal arthritis and diabetes type 2. So every life has challenges, but I find that by living mythology, I put my struggles in a mythical context. So again, it's just confirming that life has challenges for everybody. I can't take this personally because a lot of people have to go through this when they get a certain age, like my age. And this is my challenge right now. It might not be my challenge forever. I might find ways of improving my spinal pain and things like that, or I may not. But that's my challenge right now. And if it wasn't this, it would be something else. So I hold on to that. It helps me navigate through the challenges of the days ahead. And I found too, in response to something else that you said, a lot of things I'm being paid for now, I did it because I wanted to do it, and I didn't really care about the money. So I started doing these mythology games in libraries because I wanted to do them. And before you know it, people started asking me how much would I charge if I did it in their home for their kids, or to a bunch of kids after school, or in an after school program, or another library program. So I started earning a living that way. And until the pandemic happened, a lot of the talks I used to give for free in libraries about obscure things, people paid me for them. And I was going
Mhm.
around and giving these same talks that I've been giving away for free for 25 to 50 and sometimes more dollars an hour per person. So then the pandemic and Zoom killed that particular mess, but I still talk even though I'm not getting paid for talking. And those things are based on who I am and what my strengths are. And I find that they make my life very fulfilling, whether I'm getting paid or not. And miraculously, opportunities come to me to do something that will make me money just by doing the things that I
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
passionate about.
I don't, it is miraculous, but I don't think it's mysterious. I think that once you start to see yourself as having worth and talents and abilities, and you're not shy to bring them up when it's appropriate, and to make sure people recognize who you really are. I think that then you start to bring in the energetic part of the world we don't understand. So that can bring in energy where coincidental things will happen, accidental things will happen that move you forward. And they're not things that really probably anyone alive can fully talk about at this point, although I think over the next 100 years or so, it'll probably be much more understood, you know.
Yeah, I think so too. And I'm very grateful that our paths crossed because we think alike in certain areas, and our conversations, whether recorded or not recorded, whether still in existence or vanished,
Right.
have certainly helped me on my journey forward as a human being in this time and space.
Well, yes, I really liked being a friend of yours. So, you know, it, I always want to be your friend. And so
Same here.
um, we do think the same in many areas. And interestingly enough, these are areas that really, I don't really have many people that think about them. I don't have anyone else in my life who's, say, particularly interested in Edgar Casey, who, really understood, at least intuitively, all these forces that we really don't know how to manipulate at this point. And but that's okay. It's great that I know you and that I realize that a lot of the things that limited the women in my family um, are things that you could push through and not, it can be handled now. One of them is the medicine is much better, in the last 100 years, so
Right.
that women who actually had breakdowns like at menopause, that would be very rare today. If you went to, the right doctor or the right hospital, medical care for women is much, much better. You have to find it, unfortunately. It's not always common knowledge, but women don't have those, most mental illness that is stirred up around midlife can be totally handled at this point. And that's a big change, because without the right medicine to certain things, there's not much. So, lots of wonderful things have happened in the last 100 years or so. And all the more that it should give you, if you're listening, courage to do what you have to do. If it's going to make a difference to go to the community college for a couple of years to do your dreams, do it. Try to really do it, and if you have to put something off because of a child or whatever, okay, but maybe keep a diary or maybe find a way to be in a group, through Zoom that's about the talents that you have. So try. I hope you'll try. And I think we're going to kind of close for tonight. So, um, I'll tell them where, I'll go on to just say that I have a major website at enchantedself.com, and it's a good place to go because you'll see a lot of my own work that's easy to understand and that's meaningful and can lead you to really beginning more structured work on yourself. And I have a little book called Seven Gateways to Happiness. I actually can't find it tonight. I think that was the full title. It's the Seven Gateways to Happiness. It's very inexpensive. It's just a couple of dollars up on Amazon. It's a good companion little book because it takes you through thinking about the education you need, looking at your family history in a positive way, recognizing your own talents as you practice them, and even having more understanding about how important it is to be kind to others, kind to yourself, and how you can improve your even the way you feel by helping someone else, by just getting out of the house and talking to someone. So it's a very good little book. Maybe I'll have to buy it for myself, and then next month I'll show it.
It is indeed a fantastic book. I have it. I don't know where right now, but I do
Yeah.
have it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Barbara. You're incredibly awesome. I'm glad we had this opportunity to speak. I wish you great success in all your endeavors, and I look forward to our next conversation.
Good. I do too. Can't wait to talk next time. Thank you.
Thank you, and Happy New Year to all out there.
Yes.
Until next time, joyous journeys and amazing adventures. Good night, everybody.
Good night.